I'm also an adjunct professor at Reykjavík University, where I teach the course Developing Open-Sourced Web Software with Drupal. Yes. My second position at the university is that I'm an instructor and examiner for the bachelor's projects that students do instead of writing a thesis. I've been around Drupal since 2012, haven't looked back since. I will continue forever. If Dries pulls the plug, I will just fork the project. I am co-chair for social events at Drupal Europe, where I've been for the past 7 years as a member of the jury at Trivia Night. I started in Drupal Europe 2018 actually for that. I was the host of Drupal Trivia Night for 2020 and 2021 when we were in COVID and had to be online. I'm also a chair in the International Splash Awards, where I am head of the judge panel. Finally, I'm an avid board gamer. I have 950 board games. I host a board game retreat in Iceland every year with over 100 participants coming for the next event. So, what is Drupal Open University Initiative? First of all, a very, very, very long title. It's a community-driven effort to bring Drupal into the educational system. Universities and classrooms, hopefully fostering a new generation of Drupal developers. It's not an online university teaching Drupal, but getting Drupal into certified universities as a curriculum. It focuses on using open source materials for teaching and learning. We want to create a platform for teachers and want-to-be teachers to actually be able to get structured material that is also synchronized around the world, so that we could come more or less teach the same curriculum everywhere and have it standardized. Why? Again, we want students to know Drupal and PHP when they leave their education. So they will have a choice about what tools to choose when they start their own projects. Also to have a clear path to employment. We also want to be able to reach out to students worldwide and get them to know the single best CMS in the world and foster the next generation of Drupal developers. So where did it all start? In October 2020, an old professor of mine called and asked if I was interested in teaching a course at Reykjavík University. It was in middle of COVID, they were scrambling, so they called me. The course would be a mixture of PHP programming with open source development. I said yes, added Drupal into the mix, and started teaching 1 month later online with a very quick-boiled curriculum. The course was taught every day for over a 3-week period, which is normal for Reykjavík University. They teach first for 12 weeks, then there are the examines and everything, and then there is one, all day long course that is taught over 3 weeks. The course was, the end product of this course was a website made with Drupal with custom-built module that would fetch data from Spotify. This course has then been taught ever since. I just got the contract for my 5th semester for fall of 2025. So this is very much a staple in Reykjavík University. Each time in my preparation period, I try to add and modify the class, make it better and more interesting. But coming from one of the biggest and greatest open source communities in the world, I thought, how can we do this cooperatively? And my idea for a BOF in Barcelona was born, which was titled How I Shoehorned Drupal and PHP into Reykjavík University's curriculum. I expected maybe 2-3 people. I got 5. So that was pretty good for a BOF about something that nobody actually even knew what the hell was about. What I didn't expect was the fact that in the audience, two people, Gusman Bellon and Jean-Paul Wasmir, they jumped on the idea, and before the day was over, we had the initiative running, we had a project page on Drupal.org, and Dries already knew about the initiative. Talking about running fast. And on Friday, we attended the contribution day. We made a lot of suggestions there, and the initiative was just kicked in high gear. So, what is our challenge? First of all, as we almost all know, learning Drupal is hard. And probably one of the best places to get the foundation is at the university. Another challenge is that PHP is very often very much looked down to. Many people approach to me and say, PHP is not very classy programming language. And then they start explaining to me what PHP did back in 4.7. We released 8.4 last year. I mean, we are a little bit away from how it was back in the day. And since PHP runs the web, it's ridiculous that students don't have any knowledge of PHP when they graduate. It's rare to have students coming out of these schools with any knowledge of Drupal, while they might have some idea of WordPress and use that in their free time. It's also very rare that students have any idea of what open source is in general, other than it's free software. But they don't have, knowledge of all the licenses that go on, what other open software there is, and the software they might even been using all the time, but they had no idea it was open source, except maybe for that they know Linux distributions, but that's about it. I tried to think of the sentence, if you build it, they will come. Students will sign up, they will try for themselves, and see the magnificence of what is Drupal. That's why I want to bring this into the universities. Open source software is also a great platform for students to work on real-life projects that are not started from scratch, but really have an established code base, very much how their career is going to look like, rather than just reading about theories in a book and trying to implement it in a very narrow scope in a class project. That's actually one of the biggest complaints companies give us feedback to the computer science departments, both at Reykjavík University and University of Iceland. Drupal is also very robust, has a very robust credit system that gives students another possibility to show their work after they have taken a course like that outside GitHub pages and their to-do apps where everybody, creates, and we try to evaluate when we are trying to hire them. And the last part is that we need to appeal to people to come to Drupal beyond the community itself. We want them to know about us and then join the community, not the other way around. It would be great to get at least partly trained developers to come from the universities instead of getting them fresh out of schools and have to train them from ground up. It would also be great to create awareness among students on how they can transition from the student life to the working life with as much ease as possible. And what better way to do that than using Drupal? As I said before, PHP is playing in the big leagues now. It's not known anymore for hacks and strange results, but for being the loosely typed programming language that actually is strongly typed if you just follow the directions. It's also vital to show Drupal as a headless tool for students who want to develop against, since they could spin up an API with data within hours to then use for their front-end developing solutions they are trying to accomplish. Sorry, I don't have my speaker notes on the screen, so I have to, I'm reading it from my iPad. We also need to get awareness for the tools for the users. People often choose other tools because they are easy to use. And when asked why they don't use Drupal, they often refer to their experience with Drupal 7. And we need to change that and show them how far we have gone. And I actually think that Drupal CMS is on the right track to give us that tool. Yet another focus point is Drupal as an informational architectural tool. The fact that everything is an entity and all entities are fieldable gives us so much flexibility for people who need a tool to develop huge data structures into pieceable content and structure it so it makes sense for users. Drupal is a tool that allows us to do that, and finding avenues to funnel that into other curriculum would be very helpful to adopt a program like this. Getting into schools creates a huge opportunity for us as a community to enhance the students' employability and kickstart them into desirable jobs right after graduation. To get the opportunity to collaborate with a globally active community and get the students to work in our issue queues while still in schools. Enhance the curriculum and make it standardized among the world as much as possible. That gives us much better way to evaluate what the student knows after the courses. We can teach the teacher and leave our experience within the schools. We can also give other teachers the ability to teach other parts of computer science with Drupal, for example, design patterns, because Drupal already implements design patterns, so what better tool to teach that than a huge code base like Drupal? Students get to know how it is to have an access to a wealth of community-driven resources, a Slack server with thousands of highly qualified developers, designers, and users to answer the questions whenever they hit a snag. When students participate in a program like this, they can easily get industry recognition via issue credits and also just with a badge that they have finished this program in their university or college, similar to certification programs. As a community, we can also work together to co-develop and collaborate on training programs, making them the best they could possibly be. And universities that participate in this program and put it in their curriculum would then be endorsed as partner schools. So we are just beginning, but even without any major marketing schemes or talks like this, people are finding the initiative quite easily. We have over 90 people on our Slack channel that participate in our bi-weekly meetings and track meetings. The curriculum track is based on my curriculum at Reykjavík University, but also on a very generous donation on Acquia's behalf. They have actually given us all their training material to intertwine with what we have done. And we are currently in the progress of making 2 separate courses at the university level based on this material, one leaning more on site building and back-end developing, and the other one on front-end development and headless development. University track is looking for universities and connecting them, seeing how we can bring them to teach Drupal. Many of them use Drupal as CMS already, so teaching Drupal should be a logical next step. Agencies are also seeking interns from universities, So having Drupal in their curriculum would offer the students more opportunities to have an internship at the Drupal agency. We're also just working on maturing the initiative and getting everyone who wants to contribute to get into the project. So what about the competition? I heard talk this morning about Drupalize Me. These resources are a great resource to learn Drupal at your own pace. And they are also a great support material for courses like mine. Actually, for every chapter, for every day that I teach, there is a reference to the support material of what I am teaching at Drupalize Me. Because I think that when students are studying and learning, having everything from just one source of information is not always the best way to go. And I know that because I've sometimes walked out of classes because I didn't like the teacher. So having the possibility from the teacher to say, okay, if you don't want to listen to me or you need more supplement, you will go here. I mean, people just learn differently, and what could be a beneficial approach for one student is a total miss for another. Therefore, we think that there is always be a part of a material pool that students can dive into. The difference is, though, that the initiative focuses on teaching in a classroom of any sort. Students can interact with the teacher during seminars and when working on projects. These courses are also more structured than self-paced learning. And self-paced learning requires a lot of self-discipline that not all people have. I'm for one. In short, different strokes for different folks. Both things should exist. And when we were at one of our meetings, we thought, okay, so what about the material? Where are our books? And as we know, technical books, they expire quite rapidly. Most likely your book has expired when it comes out to the press. And they are very often hasted into the market, and they have quite few erratas in them. Some are so big and so, that you cannot even go through installation of the project that you are still working on if you don't have the errata on a secondary screen next to you. So, but there is still a rising demand for good quality written books for Drupal that covers the beginning, site building, developing modules, and contribute to community projects, core included, front-end development, and headless development. So Takahiro Komatsu had a great talk in Singapore in December, where he showed us how a group of 8 people wrote a book on Drupal in 2 weeks, ready to publish digitally. And imagine how great it would be if we collaborated all together to write and maintain books on Drupal. I know we have a lack of documentation writers. That is a huge problem of Drupal. But I think my vision is that when we have educators that actually need material, they can use part of their preparation time to actually collaboratively writing books that we could then all use together in a classroom. So I think that, we are not planning on writing 10 books right away, but we can definitely focus on that and try to see how we can get people to also write the material that we are then using in our classroom. I've used the book Drupal 8/9/10 Module Development by Daniel Sippos, all 4 editions. And that book is outdated. I used it last December, and it's outdated because we have Drupal 11. So while printed books are good, I think that if we are collaboratively writing them and publishing digitally, we can actually get them out much faster, clean up the errata so that, we will just, on the platform that we will be distributing it, we could always let people know, okay, this is the current one. We just got one out yesterday because of errata we fixed. So yeah, that is definitely one of the visions we have, that we will just write our books ourselves. Currently, we are working on 4 different tracks within the initiative. We have the courses track, which I've talked about a little, that focuses on building courses for different occasions. Although our initiative has the word university in it, we are not only focusing on universities. We are breaking up the material so we can use it also at college level as a week-long course, as a 2-day course, as a 1-day introductory course, and also as in-house training courses. The teachers track focuses on connecting and collaborating with existing teachers as well as new ones, reaching out to them to introduce what our vision is and discover new ways to open source. The university track seeks endorsement from universities, companies, and students, and reaches out to the schools to start the dialogue of, why the hell aren't you teaching my class in your university? Many of them use Drupal as their CMS platform anyway, so teaching Drupal should be a very logical next step. Agencies are also seeking interns from universities, so having Drupal in their curriculum would offer their students more opportunities to have an internship at Drupal agency, sorry. And the community track focuses on spreading the word into our community and tries to get everyone involved in reaching out to the new generation of Drupal developers. It all starts with just one. Like I mentioned, I'm teaching the class developing open source web software with Drupal. And I've been doing that for 5 years. A full 6-credit course taught over 3 weeks, with sessions every day. The class ends with a group project where students write a Drupal module that connects to Spotify and Discogs, implements autocomplete to search artists, songs, and album database, allows the user to select which fields they want to persist, and finally saves the data into either node or custom entities that they have created themselves. Jan Xiang at Northern is also teaching an 8-week Drupal course at Fanshawe College in Canada, and she is using the draft material that we cooked up during our initiative. There are more courses that have heard about and are currently reaching out to them to have them to join the initiative. By bringing them together, we can really empower the teachers track, working on the Teach the Teacher program and more. And by open sourcing the teaching materials to teach open source software, that would be the ultimate definition on how we open source. Drupal is one of the biggest and strongest communities in the open world, in the open source world. Let's just bring it further. Because we all know and understand what hassle it can to update your material from 8 to 9 to 10 to 11. How about doing it collaboratively? And Drupal CMS? Well, Drupal CMS is just one more way to reach out to new people. That is the standpoint of what we are looking at. With the promotion of Drupal CMS, the community reaches out to more people, and hopefully we will get more people wanting to learn more. Drupal CMS is more of an example of what can be accomplished when using Drupal. So with people having a platform to fiddle around, getting to know how powerful it is, they could then want to make a career out of it. So let's get started. Who is with us? Cool. So we are pretty active. We have the channel Open University Initiative on Slack. We have bi-weekly meetings on Fridays at 4 o'clock Central European Time. And the track meetings are normally held the other Friday at the same time. The people involved are me, Jean-Paul Vosmier, Gayatri Tandon at Acquia, Nora Medlin, Gusman Bellon, Fran Willi, and Anup John. Aren't you? And we also have Rachel and Lenny. So yeah, thank you. You can reach me here, except on Blue Sky. I'm not. Just installed the program and then left it. So, right. Any questions?
Rather a comment.
Yeah.
If I may. So, that could have gone very quick, very wrong. So yeah. So indeed, like I just wanted to being part of the active part of the community track. We are looking into the ways how we can indeed popularize the Drupal not only within the community, because obviously like those people who are coming to the Drupal event, they probably know where they're coming and what Drupal is. But as Drupal Association also spreading their kind of area of influence and presence at the out of Drupal events. And given that I'm normally present at most of those events, I'm also talking to people about Open University and promoting it. And as well, like in terms of the courses, that's something that came up at our most recent meetup just yesterday. What we want to do when we're talking about the workshops, we want to make those like one-day, half-day workshops part of the local events as well as DrupalCamp. So whichever event has a contribution day or a contribution room, we want to provide these materials and support basically the opportunity. So if we are, let's say, at Cambridge University, we can spread the word upfront and get students for the half-a-day workshop on Drupal. So.
I wasn't at the meeting. I was in an airplane.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I meant. Very quick, very raw.
This is, see, we have these catch boxes at Edinburgh. They're a barrel of laughs. Yeah, thanks, Hilmar. It was great. Also great to see you again, because I haven't seen you in a while. So yeah, good
Thank
to see
you.
I'm as someone who works at a university. I mean, it interests me, but I don't work on the academic side, so I don't really have connections with the academic side. So part of me is wondering, and you mentioned about those, one of the tracks is looking at like reaching out to universities, and part of it is wondering like, how would I, as somebody who works at university but doesn't have any connection with academics, like how would I even begin to like, you know, start that conversation, I guess, because we get like interns in and they've never used Drupal, and it's that exact problem like you said. And then I'm also similarly thinking like, as an employer and bringing people in, how, and it's great that you mentioned like Acquia are like effectively open sourcing material. Is there a way we can, because I'm thinking like, is there an opportunity to have some kind of standardized like certification so that if you, regardless of where you've what university you've taken this course in, because they're effectively all the same course, you can get like a certificate at the end that says, I've done this course, and so, you know, an employer sees that and they're like, oh great, okay, that's they've done it. It doesn't matter where they've done it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So those are the kind of thoughts in my head. I don't know if those are questions or just comments or both, but that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking a lot of things now, but I'm very excited. So,
Thank you for all of them. My ADHD brain is trying to process that, and I'm over there now.
Maybe
no.
we can have a conversation later at the
Right,
pub.
but I can answer two of them that I got. First of all, how to approach. That is a very good question. What I did was that I just pestered my professors, and I said, "We need to do this. We need to do this. We need to do this." And now you can go and say, "Hey, look at Reykjavík University, a small university up in Iceland. They're doing it.
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing it?"
Yeah.
We have all the material.
Yeah.
A lot of it is, ready to go. I can either jump in next week and start teaching at your university, or at least onboard a professor of what actually to do to start teaching the program. And they, of course, need to know Drupal. I mean, you cannot just jump right in and have no knowledge of what you're teaching. But why can't you start teaching? It's not very hard. You stand in front of people and you talk. And they believe whatever you say. And the other question about the badges, we are working with Lenny and more to try to actually create that system that we can actually have the profiles displaying, that merit badge, almost the same as they would do with Acquia certified.
Just coming from the Drupal Association.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not coming from the company.
Exactly.
That's really good to hear, because I think I think that's always the thing. Like, it's in a way there's a little bit of, I recognize there's a little bit of irony that, like, if I was as a university employing somebody to do a Drupal job, I wouldn't really care if they had a university degree. I'd be more interested in their experience. So the fact that I can go to their profile and see, oh, they've done this course, that's great. That immediately levels them up, in terms of, like, I can trust that's a person that so yeah, the fact that that's like really, really good to hear, that there is going to be a framework, let's say, around that. So yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to do everything in our power to make it work on a very broad spectrum.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna. Okay. I don't trust this thing anymore. I'm gonna, like, carefully pass it over. There you go. You're getting
Thank you. I sort of feel the same as Aaron. Whilst I'm a developer within the university, actually being able to reach out to, the academics who teach it over in computer science is a bit difficult to know how to get over and do that. So it's something I'll certainly look at here at the university and see how I can get in contact with them and start to approach that idea. I think a lot of the sort of bits you'll have to jump over is how they get it certified to actually be able to pull that in as part of their program, but that's their problem, not our problem anyway. I think the other thing as universities is we've then got to offer that placement back. So we've got to say to them, for us as the University Information Services and the other schools around and anyone else who uses Drupal, is really say we will give them opportunities within our teams. Otherwise, it's not going to support, because you want to be able to offer that rather than having to say, go off to that agency or that agency. I think you've got to be able to say, yes, we use Drupal, therefore we've got to give these people opportunities within our team. I know it's something Edinburgh already do. They already do offer intern placements and stuff.
Like, it's students from another university.
Yeah. Don't tell them that. But it's getting that in, and I think that's something we've got to bear in mind, is the universities who are using it also have to make the dedication to be able to pass it on and give these students some experience within the university. So that's just something to play in mind.
And also, if any of you are at the university and they said, okay, I mean, it's good, but we need a teacher, we need to prepare and stuff. I have a passport, I can travel. And I'm more than happy to work and guest lecture or jumping in. There are so many ways to do this. Or you can all go to Iceland and attend my course in Reykjavík University. Yes, yes.
So something that strikes me is universities and other educational establishments collaborate, but they also compete. So how do we facilitate particular universities wanting to show that they really excel and are really good at offering this course as well as all the other courses that they offer in a particular way? Is there something that we could do on Drupal.org to show those universities that are both offering the course and maybe also contributing to the course in terms of materials, etc.?
I agree with that, but I also think that the key word here is open source, and that because for a lot of people, the terminology of open source and trying to understand what it is just blows their minds, and it can even. I had a student in my other class. I was his examiner for his bachelor thesis. He showed up for the next meeting, and because he was presenting a project that the students would do as their thesis project. And we were talking, and he was actually asking me about my pitch, which was unfortunately not accepted, which was still a very good pitch for Drupal, but let's just try it again. And it blew his mind that we were doing this all open sourced. And and like everybody, where does the money come from? Well, we're all employed, so it comes from somewhere. And I just think that we need to use that keyword a lot, open source. That's how you excel, and you can, and bring the fact that there are, like I said, there are 2 Drupal agencies in Iceland, OneX Internet and us. And Batti and I, we traveled together in my car to drive to the airport. We sat together on the plane, and we took an Uber up to here. Because we're not fighting. We are competitors, but we can still be civilized about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she can't take all the projects, neither can I. So it's like we just get the projects, both companies are running well, and that's how universities should be. I mean, they're competing for the students, but they could also share a little.
Or they can, like, as Jenny just said, like, you know, if you're providing also internship for the, like, top of the class, you are kind of can get that to people.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm completely okay by that. Have a way of saying, hey, these are the universities where you can really learn this stuff and actually have a real job at the end of it. Anybody else? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, I think we have time for one or two more, if you're quick. Hey!
Lucky bounce. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. I don't currently have any connection to a university or teaching experience, but I'm kind of thinking, could I get my local community college to take us on? I don't know, but
yes, you can. Just walk in and tell them you are doing this course, and they will say yes. And then they will figure out later if you can teach or not.
Could be. But yeah, no, it's very exciting. I think the teaching material could be really powerful. One thing that I'd like to add is I think it'd be really good. Sort of when I started in Drupal, it was being used. I mean, I think most of us probably is in the same boat, that lots of people were using Drupal for hobby projects, college projects, college society websites, and I think with Drupal CMS we could be pushing into that space again, and I think that would really complement what the Open University initiative is trying to do. So having people, you know, using Drupal for their college websites would be a really good way of sort of embedding what is being taught through it.
I totally agree. So. There's one more in the back.
Yeah, I'm a relatively recent graduate from a university, and what I would be interested in knowing is your view on how to approach the sort of academic snobbery to PHP. My master's thesis was in PHP, and I had to sort of fight some ignorance around that. Of like, my advisor was, "Isn't PHP dead?" You know, and he was shocked to learn, 80% of the internet runs off PHP, and he's like, "Oh, it's been replaced by Cold Fusion, ASP, Python being the latest one." So how do you approach that ignorance and snobbery, frankly?
We could use a quote from Rasmus Lerdorf, who said, I think in 1999, when they were just about to release 4.5, that he admitted that he created PHP because he just needed something, but he was always waiting for something better to come along, and it never did. So that's why PHP is still alive. And I do think that, I do agree with the snobbery. I deal with that a lot in Reykjavík University. And like I said in my talk, we very often get description of, how you can add Drupal 10 plus 11 and get the result of 21, which was possible back in the day. It's not possible anymore. It has become more stricter language and now supports, strongly typed variables and functions. So I just think that, for example, do you know how I teach PHP in my class? I ask one question. So anybody, have you ever written in Java or C#? I get all the hands up. Okay, remember, put a $sign in front of variables, and it's not dot notation, but an arrow notation. Thank you. Let's move on to Drupal. Because that's exactly what it is. There is no structural difference between PHP and Java and C#. And people just need to, pick up a document that was written after 2020 and start thinking about what they're saying. Because they can't refer to documentation from last century. Thank you so much. It was nice to be here.